Digital versus analog. An analog signal will take into account all possible continuous values within a range. And this is what I mean by that. Let's say that you're sending a signal and we're going to call that signal having a value of 7. It can be received as like a 6.8 to 7.2 because there's going to be noise and interference between sending a signal and receiving it. In a digital signal, you can only have values of a 1 or a 0. It can only be binary values here. And what's happening is when you send a value of 1 and it's received as a 0.9 or a 1.1, that value is rounded to the nearest 1 or 0 and then it's received as such. So what that means is that it's completely lossless and it's essentially perfect signal transference because all the noise in a digital signal is canceled out. And that's why they use digital everywhere, all the time, wherever you can use it, because it's near perfect. Analog circuits are what use physical components like resistors, inductors, op amps, things like that. And then digital circuits will use what are called logic gates. And these things are what you program into a computer, and then they are processed through a microcontroller or a microprocessor, and then the commands are executed. An analog circuit you can physically hold with your hand, and you can point out the individual components, and you can like look at it and say, okay, the current is starting from this source and it's going through this resistor into that op amp. Like you can point out the whole you can point out the whole trail of where the current is traveling and how the power is distributed, like physically holding and looking at it. In a digital signal, that's not going to happen. You would have to open the computer and then see all the set programs that were values of 1s or 0s, and then it'll show you the logic gate. But that is way more complicated, and you're not going to look at that thinking, okay, this is going to be easy. Like digital circuits are quite complicated because they can get really large very quickly.